They told me I had nothing left to offer. It happened in the kitchen just before dinner time. The light was fading outside the glass, turning the world gray. My hands were stained with soap from washing dishes that nobody else ever washed. My daughter Sarah stood by the sink. She was holding a letter, her jaw tight with frustration. She did not yell, she did not cry. That made it worse. She simply said, "Mother, please stop trying to fix everything. We can do this ourselves." I looked down at my apron. I looked at the clean floor behind me. I felt something break inside my chest, silent and deep. I nodded slowly. "I understand," I said. And then I smiled instead of crying, because they did not see the truth. They thought I was giving up, but I was not giving up on them. I was finally starting to find myself. Today I want to tell you about that day and the days that came before it. It is a story about loving too much. It is a story about being too small for your own life. Please sit down for a moment. Imagine we're sitting on a porch swing together. The air is warm. The crickets are beginning to chirp. I am going to talk to you about my life. It was not always easy, and it was not always unhappy, but it was full of silence. My name is Helen. I have lived in this house for 42 years. It belongs to my son, but he bought it with money my late husband helped save. Sometimes I feel like a guest in my own history. When my husband passed 3 years ago, the house became very quiet. He loved loud music and heavy laughter. Now the only sound is the clock ticking on the wall. I raised 2 children, a boy named Michael and a girl named Sarah. They were good children. They ate all their vegetables. They studied hard. They followed rules, but they did not stay close. Michael lives 3 states away. He calls once a month, always when he needs money or help with taxes. Sarah lives closer, just 20 miles down the road. She visits on Sunday. Sunday means food. Sunday means cleaning. Sunday means me working hard for the people I love most. For decades, I believed my purpose was simple. I was the glue. I held the house together. If I stopped moving, I thought the world would fall apart. People would say to me, "Oh, you work so hard for them." I would smile and say, "They are my family." But inside there was a question I asked myself many times: who takes care of me? No one asked, not because they were cruel, but because they did not notice. I remember when my son moved into his first apartment, I packed his bags with folded shirts. I ironed every one of them. He was 19 years old. He was happy to leave the nest. He hugged me and said, "Thanks, Mom, you always take such good care of me." He walked out the door without looking back. I cleaned his room. I put fresh sheets on the bed. He never used them again. He never said he missed my cooking. Years passed. The smell of his baby powder faded from the closet. The smell of his crayons faded from the desk. I kept them anyway. I could not throw them away. They were proof that he once belonged here. Then Michael got married. Then he had a child. Then I became grandma. Everyone said, "Grandma, you are so important now." But being important does not mean being seen. When I arrived at my grandson's soccer game, the father was busy coaching. The mother was on her phone taking photos. They thanked me for driving. They thanked me for the juice boxes. But I was invisible. I sat in the car park. I watched them laugh. I drank my tea. It grew cold. That is how it was for years. I was the shadow. I was the hand that wiped tears, but never had eyes to dry them. Over time, small things began to grow. They started as pebbles in my shoe. You think nothing of them until you limp. There was the time I tried to join them for lunch. Sarah called me, "Mom, we are having pizza tonight. Do you want to come?" "I would love to," I said. My heart beat a little faster. It had been a long week. I drove over. The house was bright. There were new paintings on the walls. The furniture was soft and expensive. My clothes felt a bit worn next to theirs. I walked in. Sarah was talking to her husband, David. David was nice, always polite, but Sometimes his eyes checked me quickly, like a store clerk. "You look great," Mom Sarah said. She meant it, but her attention drifted to her phone. It buzzed. She picked it up. David asked me what I wanted to eat. I said, "Just a slice, please. I am not hungry." We ate pizza. It was pepperoni. It was messy. I cleaned the table afterwards. Nobody stopped me. They went to watch television. The remote clicked on. The TV lights turned on. I stood there with a cloth in my hand, waiting for someone to say thank you. Nobody spoke. The television roared loudly. It filled the room. I went back to my chair in the corner. I watched the screen. I did not understand what was happening. I did not try to join the conversation. Later, while I washed the plates, Sarah came in. "Mom, you do not have to wash those," she said. "We have a dishwasher. Put it in." I paused. My hands were wet. "I like washing them," I said softly. "It keeps me focused." She frowned, not in anger, but in confusion, as if I was speaking a foreign language. "That is not necessary," she said. "Please sit down and rest." "But it feels good to work," I replied. She sighed a long sigh, like she was tired of me. "Mom, I need you to rest. Go watch TV with us. Do not worry about the house." I took my hands out of the water. I dried them on the towel. "Okay," I said. "I am sorry if I overstep." She said, "You do not overstep. You are too helpful. We can handle it." Those were the exact words, "we can handle it." I felt small, like a child who was told to stop playing. That night, I lay in the bed I slept in. When I visited, the sheets were cool and smooth, but I did not sleep. I listened to the sounds of the house settling, the pipes clinking, the fridge humming. It felt empty, not just in the room inside me. Why was it wrong for me to serve them? Was my love too much? Was my help a burden? The next time I saw Michael on the phone, he sounded stressed. "Mom, Dad's funeral bill is still coming," he said. I could hear the noise in his head. I said, "I have some savings left from your father." He paused. He sounded surprised. "Oh, we have not asked for anything, right? No, just offering." I said, "Take it if you need it." He said yes. 3 days later, I felt a chill run through me. I was in my living room drinking my tea. The sun was setting. My phone rang. It was Sarah. She sounded different, less cheerful. "Mom, can you transfer the money back?" she said. "My money?" I asked. "What happened?" "We decided we will pay it ourselves." She said, "We want to manage our own finances." I held the phone tight. "Of course," I said. I did not mind lending it. "Well, it is better this way," she added. "I know you worry too much." Then she hung up. I sat there. The tea was cold. I poured it down the sink. Why was I the worry? I was only worried because I loved them. I began to notice patterns. When I suggested a recipe, they said they had tried that already. When I brought a blanket to the couch, they put it aside. When I fixed their broken lamp, they said they preferred the dark. Every no was polite. Every thank you was quick. But the love was missing. It was like giving water to a plant that prefers dry soil. I wondered if I was the problem. Perhaps I was too old. Perhaps I was out of touch. Perhaps I was simply unnecessary. The winter came early that year. The snow fell on the roads. The roads were slick. I was driving to their house for Christmas. It was tradition. I would arrive with a casserole dish wrapped in aluminum foil. It would be steaming. Sarah answered the door. She wore thick sweaters. Her cheeks were red from the cold. She looked beautiful, healthy, happy. "Come in, Mom," she said. "We made cookies." I stepped into the house. The heater was blasting hot air. I took off my coat. I placed my bag on the floor. I went to the kitchen to put my casserole in the oven. I felt useful. I felt needed. Then I heard voices from the dining room. They were whispering. "I hate this," David said. His voice was low but clear. "I hate the chaos." "I know." Sarah whispered back, "But she needs something to do. It keeps her sane." "She is getting tired," David said. "Look at her hands. They shake when she pours coffee. She looks like she is falling apart." I froze. I was standing by the counter. The oven timer beeped. I do not want her staying, David continued next. Time we can do dinner elsewhere, somewhere neutral, with less mess. They did not know I was there. I felt the heat fade from my body. I walked back to the living room. I put my coat on. Did I miss something? I asked. Sarah jumped. She looked at me. Her eyes were wide. She looked guilty. No, Mom, she said. Quickly, we were just talking about your travel plans. Are you driving back alone? It was fine, I said. I hope you are okay, she said. Maybe you can visit a sister, stay longer. We will call you later. Her smile was perfect, but her eyes were sad. That night, the silence was heavy. They played board games. Laughter echoed from the table. I sat in the recliner. My feet hurt. I looked at the clock. It was late. I think I am going to bed, I said. Good night, Mom, Sarah said. Sleep well, David said. I walked up the stairs. I went to the guest room. I undressed and lay down. But I did not close my eyes. I listened. To their footsteps in the hall, I listened to the lock clicking on the front door. I listened to them turn down the volume on the television. I realized that I was not a mother in that house. I was a service. I was a helper. I was a decoration. And I was tired. Not just body tired, soul tired. I remembered my husband's face. He told me, once you work too hard, Ellie, you forget yourself. Ellie, that was my name before I was a mother, before I was a wife, before I was a servant. I closed my eyes. I counted 10 breaths. I counted again. By morning, I knew what I had to do. I woke up before anyone else. The sky was gray. The snow was still falling. I dressed quietly. I took my wallet from my purse. I wrote a note on a piece of paper. It was not goodbye forever, but it was a pause. I placed the note on the pillow. I picked up my suitcase. I wheeled it out the back door. I did not wait for breakfast. I did not open my oven. I walked to my car. I started the engine. I did not look in the mirror. I drove away. The drive was long. I did not check the GPS. I just drove. I stopped at a motel 20 miles away. It was old. The carpet smelled like coffee and dust, but it was quiet. I paid cash. I took my room. Key, I walked into the room. It had one bed and one window. I put the suitcase on the floor. I stood there. I felt a strange sensation. My heart was beating fast, but not from fear, from freedom. I was alone, truly alone. For the first time in 30 years, no one expected me to cook. No one expected me to clean. No one expected me to listen to their complaints. I walked to the window. I opened it. The cold air rushed in. It smelled like pine trees. I sat on the edge of the bed. What now? I asked myself. I looked at the suitcases. What did I bring? Mostly clothes, books, a photo album. I opened the album. It showed pictures of my husband. It showed pictures of the kids. I looked at my own face in the mirror. It had wrinkles, now lines around my mouth. My hair was white. Who are you? I whispered. I remembered the gardening club I joined when I was younger. I loved planting roses. Then the children came. Then the husband got sick. Then I retired. I never planted a rose again. I picked up the book from my bag. It was a mystery novel. I had read half of it before I put it down to help Sarah with her homework. I opened it. I turned to the next page. At noon, the phone in the room rang. I let it ring. I did not want to answer. The second time I answered, it was Sarah. Mom, where are you? She asked. Her voice was frantic. I am at a hotel, I said calmly, in town. Why? She asked. Is everything okay? Yes, I said, everything is fine. When will you come home? She asked. I do not know, I said. Silence on the line. You need to come home, Sarah said. You cannot just disappear. People are worried. People? I asked. Which people? Me. She hesitated. Your family, Mom, us. We need you. I closed my eyes. I pressed the phone harder against my ear. You need me, I said, but you also told me to leave you alone. You do not understand. She said we need help with the house, with the kids. You can handle the house, I said. And the kids. They are grown, I said. They are adults. They are not 5-year-olds anymore. Sarah cried softly. I am sorry, she said. I did not mean to push you away. I know, I said, but I pushed myself away first for a long time. Can you come back today, she asked. I am not ready, I said. This is the first time I have been alone, and I like it. Do not say that, she said. You are scared. I am free, I corrected her. Go home, Sarah. Wash the dishes yourself. Make your own dinner. Love yourselves. I hung up the phone. It was the hardest thing I had ever done. I sat on the floor. I put my back against the bed frame. I breathed. The day passed. I ordered room service. It was terrible, but I ate it anyway. I walked to the small gift shop downstairs. I bought a bottle of red wine. I sat in the lobby watching people pass by. A couple walked in. They argued quietly about which movie to pick. A young man sat on the bench, reading a newspaper. He looked peaceful. I watched him. I realized something. I had thought my value came from what I gave to others. I thought if I stopped giving, I would become nothing. But I was not nothing. I was Helen. I was a woman who liked roses. I was a woman who liked mystery novels. I was a woman who knew how to listen to rain. I was enough. That evening, I lit the candle on the nightstand. It flickered in the wind from the window. I thought about my husband again. He would not have wanted me to suffer. He wanted me to smile. He died thinking I was doing good work, but maybe he did not see the cost. I understood then that I had to be the one to set the boundary, not because I wanted to punish them, but because I wanted to survive. If I burn down, I cannot warm them. I stayed at the motel for 5 days. On the third day, I went for a walk in the park. I saw a garden. It was small, tucked behind a bench. I knelt down. The dirt was wet. It was muddy. I touched it. I realized I loved the dirt. I found a place near the fountain. I sat there and watched the geese swim. A neighbor, an older lady, sat nearby. She watched me. You know, she said, I come here to think. I know, I said, me too. Are you lost? She asked. In a way, I said. I had to lose myself to find my way. She smiled. She had kind eyes. Sometimes you have to take the road not taken, she said, to see where the flowers grow. We talked for an hour. She told me her stories. Her husband passed years ago. She raised her son alone. She had no granddaughters, but she had friends. She invited me to tea. We met again the next day and the next. We made tea together. We baked bread. We laughed. I did not ask her about her money. I did not ask for her help. We just existed together. One afternoon, Sarah called again. Mom, she said, we fixed the leaky pipe. You were right. That is good, I said. And the bills, she added, we paid them together. I am glad, I said. Can you come home, she asked, please, we miss you. I looked at the tea. It was warm in my hands. I can come, I said, but we need to talk. She said yes. I drove home. My hands were steady. The house looked the same, but the air was different. It did not feel heavy. Sarah met me at the door. She hugged me. She did not rush. We need to change the routine, I said as I walked in. She led me to the kitchen. She sat me down. Tell me, she said, what do you want? This was not a command, it was a question. For the first time in a long time, I felt safe asking for anything. I want to stop cooking every Sunday, I said. I want to keep my evenings. I want to go to the library twice a week. She thought about it. She looked nervous. I can do that, she said. We can order pizza or I can cook. And when I have visitors, I said, I want to entertain my friends without worrying about how many guests you have. That works, she said. And I added, I want to decide when I come over. I do not want to be called unless it is urgent. She took a deep breath. She looked at me. She looked honest. I am sorry, she said. I did not realize you felt so small. I was not small, I said gently. I was just hidden. She nodded, tears formed in her eyes. I promised to try, she said. I want you to be happy. I know you do, I said, but happiness is mine. It is yours too. I returned home, but I was not the same woman who left. I still love them, I still cook sometimes, but it is my choice now. If I am tired, I do not cook. If I want to sleep, I sleep. If I want to plant roses, I dig holes. Last week, I finished the book I started at the Motel I. Marked the last page, I closed it gently. I placed it on the shelf next to my husband's books. The next weekend, I went to Sarah's house. She was in the yard. David was mowing the grass. The dog barked. Mom, Sarah waved. I walked to the gate. How are you? I asked. Better, she said. I hired a cleaner. It is expensive, but worth it. She patted the grass. Thank you, she said, for what I asked. For teaching us, she said. It was hard. We did not know you were hurting. We learn from pain, I said sometimes. We hugged. It lasted a long time. I went to the kitchen. I boiled water. I put tea bags in cups. I did not wait for instructions. I put milk in my cup. They asked if I wanted sugar. No, I said, just tea. They looked at me. They waited to see if I would correct them. Instead, they just smiled. It was a small change, but it meant everything. I realized that true love is not sacrifice, it is balance. When we love too much, we drown the other person. When we love ourselves, we show them how to respect us. Now I sit here, I am older now, my knees ache. When it rains, my eyesight is not what it used to be. But my spirit is clear. Some days I still feel lonely, that is okay. Loneliness is not failure, it is a sign that you are alone with yourself, and sometimes that is where you find the strongest parts of you. I learned that my worth is not tied to my usefulness. I am not a mother because I clean houses. I am a mother because I bore them, I love them. I am not a grandmother because I buy toys. I am a grandmother because I share my wisdom. I am not a person because I give gifts. I am a person because I exist. If you are listening to this and you feel like you are fading away, please listen closely. You are not fading, you are resting. Give yourself permission to rest. Give yourself permission to say no. Give yourself permission to choose your own peace. Your family loves you, but if they only love you when you work, they do not love you, they love what you do. You must love the person in the mirror more than you love the applause. It is never too late to start. Yesterday, I bought a packet of seeds, roses, pink ones. I went to the backyard. I cleared a spot near the fence. I dug the earth. I planted the roots. I covered them with soil. I patted it down. I stood up and wiped my hands on my jeans. I watched the sky. It was blue. I thought I did that. Not them, not my husband, not my neighbors. Me. I am Helen. I am alive, and I am enough. So let this be my message to you. When they tell you to stop, when they say you are too much, when they say you should be somewhere else, stop, look inward, find your center, stand firm. Because when you learn who you really are, you stop needing them to validate you, you validate yourself. It takes courage, it takes strength, it takes patience. But you have it, and I hope you have it too. Until we meet again, take care of yourself, drink your tea, read your book, plant your flowers. You are worthy of a good life, even when it is quiet, even when you are alone, especially then.